Hi, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good night, depending on where you are. It's my pleasure to chair this session titled Suptech Capacity Building and Cross-Border Collaboration, the EU-Supervisory Digital Finance Academy. And I'm particularly happy because I have with me three great panelists: Giuseppe Sasha from DG Reform, Iman from the Dutch National Bank, and Marine from the Bank of Latvia. So we are very happy to start this session with a very quick round of introduction. And we are not going to ask our distinguished panelists to introduce themselves, but to actually tell us a bit more about themselves, thinking about what are they planning to work on in the coming month. And maybe, first of all, Iman, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Nicola. I think over the last year, we've been working on all kinds of projects. In the last 5 years, we've now finished, I think, around 75 of these projects. And they started small, but next year, I hope to work on bigger projects that can run on more advanced analytics platforms. So not just LLMs or AI, but more working on complex models, as we call it. So irrespective of what the topic is, just have infrastructure there where we can learn on how to run these more complex things in the cloud. So that I think is very exciting.
Sounds fantastic. Thank you very much, Iman. Giuseppe.
Thank you, Nicola, and good morning or good afternoon to all of you. I am right now working on a number of interesting new requests we have been receiving from the side of the Commission to help in the scale up capacity and tools in the supervisory authorities across Europe. This is one of the missions that we have in our unit. I think what I will be busy working on in the coming months and probably years will be a little bit what we have been busy working on in the previous ones. So first of all, making sure that in the market in the EU, the authorities can all be up to speed, can start more and more and can continue more and more working together on solving similar challenges, reaping the opportunities of innovation. And I'm sure that in this regard, I will have to work together with the colleagues more and more on the opportunities brought by AI, both in terms of optimization of processes internally from the side of the institutions, but also in helping the institutions understanding how AI is changing the entities they supervise. So I think this is going to be one of the recurring elements in the future journey in my job at the Commission.
Well, it looks like a busy couple of years ahead. Marine.
Quite a rich agenda for the next year, and there are some initiatives that we're working on right now. And I would say that one of the major projects that currently is up and running and will be definitely here is cloud technologies. But what we're doing right now, we are step by step going to the cloud with all our supervisory data. And before going to the cloud, we also had initiated a lot of complex projects in order to get the data quality in a right place, and data hubs in order to use those data in a proper way. So recently, we just launched the supervision portal for supervisors, where all reporting is in place in BI area, and it is quite easy to do your own dashboard to analyze ID cards of market participants, to review latest advisory handbooks in one place. And the next step will be we're focusing on developing on the cloud solutions, going deeply with other ways and with other projects, especially about how to merge this AI solutions and LLM solutions from AI to bring on also on the cloud. In this sense, we have identified during these 30 areas that could be improved in future to make supervision process more efficient in data area, in textual area, and prioritizing them. So what would be our next priority for next year, for this year, But those 4 dimensions that we have identified we are going to is, of course, is deep analysis, deep analytics, and internal these tools for the supervisory collaboration. Supervisors also have something similar that in business you usually call CRM, and that could be a daily supervising departments to work with. So AI and clouds is our agenda, priority agenda for next year.
Thank you very much, Marine. I mean, a few full agendas and many things to work on. So just to summarize, Giuseppe Sciascia is the Deputy Head of the Financial Sector and Access to Finance Unit at the European Commission DG Reform, and one of the coordinator of the European Digital Finance Academy. Iman heads the Data Science Hub at the Dutch Central Bank, is also Professor of Banking and Financial Market at the VU Amsterdam, as well as a part-time professor at the UI Florence School of Banking and Finance. Marine is the head of Financial Technology Supervision Department at the Bank of Latvia. And I'm very happy to share the session with them because in different capacity, they're all key member of the European Union Supervisory Digital Finance Academy. So before giving the floor to my speaker, a few words on what SDFA is. SDFA was a project launched 3 years ago, funded by DG Reform, with the technical support of the 3 ESAs, EIOPA, ESMA, and EBA. SDFA is a technical support instrument initiative, and it aims at strengthening the capacity of national supervisory authorities in the domain of digital finance and supervision. At the current stage, the Academy has 37 national supervisory authorities from 26 UN member states. And we organize a range of capacity building activities. One of the focus of the Academy is also, of course, Suptech, and that is why we are here. So to start digging a bit in the discussion, my first question would be to Giuseppe. But let me stress to our colleagues participating in this session that we would like to have a conversation. So we don't want to have a boring presentation. We would like to have a conversation with you all. So please feel free to write questions in the chat or in the Q&A chat, and we are trying to address as many questions as we can. And also to my fellow panelists, feel free also to jump in, to add content, to react to what our other panelists are saying. So Giuseppe, what can DG Reform do to support NCAs on Suptech development, and how can the Academy play a role?
Thank you very much, Nicola. So first of all, I will very briefly explain what the Commission, the European Commission, has been doing in the past few years for the financial sector and access to finance area, which is actually the unit I work on. Basically, we are a service that can provide technical support to member states in the EU. This means that we can work with different authorities, different administrations, which in the financial sector most includes central banks, supervisory authorities, and ministries of finance, to help them implement, design, carry out reforms that are growth enhancing and that can kind of bring change on the ground in the mid to long term. And this is a quite important mission that we try to take seriously, also because we work only on the basis of demand from the member states. So we don't impose anything, we receive requests, we select them, we select the best projects, we finance them, and then we bring expertise in the area where support is sought. And clearly, digitalization is one of the main areas where member states, authorities, and also financial supervisory authorities have started coming to us to receive help and be guided in their journey towards an improvement of the way they use digitalization, but also in particular in the context of the EU, with a view to implement the different pieces of the EU digital finance framework. So I think I can say we've worked along 3 main pillars that I think will continue be the most relevant ones for the future. The first one is related to the support for the implementation of all the processes that authorities need to have in place in order to supervise new type of activities, new type of providers. And in particular, right now, this has to do a lot in Europe with the implementation of the MiCAR framework, which is a set of rules that basically bring and put under the same umbrella the provision of crypto asset services, and that require really a shift of mind from the side of supervisory authorities. There is a second aspect, which is the one related to capacity building, and the EU-SDFA is clearly a jewel in our crown, because it is a unique program so that it brings together the authorities from across the borders, but also from across the sectors. And I think this is a very important, a key aspect when we talk about digitalization. And when we talk about a market that we try to make more and more integrated as a policy objective in the EU. And the third aspect is the aspect of Suptech solutions. Now, we have been experimenting a lot together with the authorities. We have had several projects run in various areas where we have concretely tried to apply technologies and build business cases with the authorities, depending on the needs that they were facing. And many of them were basically front runners, in the sense that the authorities came to us with an idea. They wanted to implement something, but they wanted also to be helped in designing solutions that could then be implemented internally. And this required a lot of efforts also from their side when it comes to administrative capacity and IT capacity. So these type of projects have had kind of have opened, if you want, a space for the authorities to bring change within their organizations. So how we can support them concretely? Well, it depends on what they need. We have been supporting strategies, so more kind of high-level type of projects, but we have supported, as I just said, concrete projects on specific tools related to the use of specific type of technologies, going from the analysis of the business need, the definition of technical specifications, the development of proof of concepts, trying to bring the best expertise available. And the EU-SDFA has been playing a role and will continue playing a role, I'm sure, not only in building capacity in this area, but in also making sure that solutions can be shared and can circulate among NCAs, given, as I said before, its unique nature as cross-border and cross-sectoral project.
Thank you, Giuseppe. I think the ending of your comments is actually the perfect bridge to pass the floor to Iman. Iman is one of the brain behind the effort in the Suptech domain in the framework of SDFA. So, Iman, can you tell a bit why collaboration is a key element in the Suptech domain? And if you have any lesson learned from the SDFA hackathons and Suptech capacity building activities we have developed in the framework of SDFA.
Yeah. Well, what I really like about the SDFA, and Giuseppe was just saying, is that it is indeed cross-sector, right? So we're bringing together people from different sectors, and in the end, we're all looking at the same thing. It is about variability of outcomes, and that brings risks, and we want to sort of manage these risks and make the world a safer place and make it easier for people to get access to, for instance, credit. But all of this is about the variability of outcomes and understanding those outcomes. Now, that means that if you're an insurance supervisor or a banking supervisor or whatever other supervisor, it doesn't matter. You're trying to make sense of the world. So therefore, this cross-sector aspect is I think, great. And since we are all looking at more or less the same thing, it is still very much the case that in many jurisdictions, we are reinventing the wheel time and time again. So we are not really taking advantage of the fact that we have such a similar mandate in the end, if you really look at the core of it. Now, we started a couple of years back, right? And at that time, it was difficult to do more advanced things because the level of knowledge of tackling looking at risks was so different across the participants. So the first couple of years, we did a lot of basically schooling, just sort of lecturing and not so much doing. And over the years, we've been moving to doing more and doing more together. So, for instance, in the course that we discussed earlier, it would have been machine learning and then more or less a lecture on machine learning. And the last time we had this hackathon where we brought together people in Florence for almost a week and worked on particular topics. Topics were pre-selected, people could sign in on them, and this is also an important lesson. In order to make a hackathon really successful, you have to prepare a lot. So it's not cheap in that sense. It requires a lot of effort, and you're also asking people to come to Florence and spend their time and jump into a topic. But the payoff, I think, is that it allows for like a citizen data scientist supervisor, in a sense, that you get the tools to go home and do jump into those projects that are not giant IT projects, but move the scale a little bit towards moving away from Excel, say, to a little bit of coded exercise into a full-fledged sort of supervisory tool that you can share in a way that it's indeed possible to share that. So I'm very excited. We're going to do another one next year, so sign on.
And I think for our colleagues connected that maybe they're not familiar with the UI premises where our activities are delivered, we are outside of Florence, and the hackathon we ran last year, we had groups working on tables in the middle of the Tuscany Hills, which also I think Iman helps, to feel the concentration. But joke aside, Marine, Bank of Latvia is a beneficial authority of SDFA, so has been involved since day one in the project. So you can also, bring a different perspective than Iman and Giuseppe. And my first question for you is, from an NCAs perspective, how do you think collaboration should be shaped? Do you have any suggestions, ideas, or insights from your experience?
Yeah, thanks for the question. I think that without the collaboration between NCAs, so we will each of us direction maybe, but it is important there is some platform in between that is supported by academics and supported by working with the same challenges, and there is a good way how to collaborate and how to exchange information. Because if I to those studies that has been short and long this week, and what I heard from from our employees who've been participating, it is really you can really get the very good benefits with validation of approaches. So all of NCAs have almost the same agenda and always the same problems. We're really trying to find like our own path, because we have different integrations internal, we have different IT challenges internally. However, this feedback that actually it is a very good experience sharing, because you are sharing the experience not only in hard how you're doing this and that, but it also you are valid on what are the approach, because it's always clear what to do, but the question is how you are doing this, and this how you are doing this, it is very appreciated. And in this NCAs could more focus on how, and this how also is coming out those case studies. That is, I think, a very good part of the program itself, because it gives a practical experience when you can validate and use this opportunity, especially in new areas like Mika, like Dora, and actually the area of digital finance. But for the future, I would think that it also could be good that those case studies, they are not just ended when the program is ended, but it could be also be like prolonged on self-learning opportunities. So, I mean, you bring something to your NCA and you need to implement something mandatory within your NCA. I think it could be some kind of next step we can discuss. And if you are like bringing not only the idea, but you are bringing back some kind of plan, and it is your mandatory field, you need to do it in your NCA. So another thing is it will be the practical maybe suggestions also for future that we can discuss and validate. And also I think it would be good to see the roadshows, because for example this was for SSM it was 10 years anniversary, and we had those SSM visits. And also what I saw, it is also gives like additional option where you can show how you do your supervision work and get learnings from other things. So in this sense, this road shows and this type of collaboration could bring a lot of values. And of course, when you're going to this setup of Digital Finance Academy, it's good that it is academy actually, and the hard knowledge is also involved in the processes. And these sharing opportunities, maybe we can even prolong it and think that we can have like common data environment or common platforms that we also can maybe technically share something and make the exchanges of the solutions. So I would say that those two dimensions, when we can change tangibly and we can bring the homework for ourselves, so we can bring the idea and real make projects to integrate, it would be good. So far, we had very good feedbacks regarding those case studies and expertise, even from the experts who've been maybe some areas quite new for them. But I think it's a very good opportunity to see how other NCAs are going through the same challenges through the academy stuff. Yeah.
Thank you, Marine. This is also super relevant and super interesting. So maybe Giuseppe, going back to the EU-SDFA project. So you and Man, you both stress, this unique aspect of SDFA is the cross-sectoral approach, right? So what do you think this is relevant for Suptech solution, and what are the specific challenges you see in the UA space for the development of Suptech?
Thank you, Nicola, for the question. I think that the starting point, I think, is to understand a bit the institutional structure that we have in Europe, where we have a quite fragmented landscape in terms of supervisory authorities, which really have different type of remits. So sometimes we have integrated authorities covering 3 sectors. Sometimes we have 3 or 4 different authorities in the same country. Some other times we have one supervisory authority for banking sector and then another supervisory authority for the non-banking sector, and so on and so forth. Now, these arrangements clearly relate to the way EU member states have organized over time, and their financial markets have evolved over time. Clearly, the banking one has always had a more prominent role. And then this creates clearly a challenge, which is making sure that the digitalization pace is not fragmented, because even if it's true that certain technologies have been applied so far or have been understood also under a regulatory and supervisory perspective as, for example, proxies of securities and capital markets rules and so on, they pose challenges also that go beyond the specific sectors to which they have been attached and approached, and this requires then the attention of all the supervisory authorities. And then the second aspect is that there are technologies that are clearly horizontal, whose application then changes, and so there might be similarities, and then there might be a need for authorities to exchange information, to exchange data, to exchange experience on how to approach the way supervised entities are using these technologies, the type of risks that emerge. Last but not least, I think that the technologies clearly go together with increased risk in terms of cyber aspects. So cyber risk management is clearly a topic that is not relevant for this sector or this other sector, but it's really something that at the end of the day drills down to financial stability as a whole, and ultimately this is the goal of financial regulation and financial supervision, to be preserved. And so we as SDFA and as Commission in bringing support, we could not but take into account this dimension. I'm sorry, I didn't get to the second question. If you can remind me. And I saw there is another question in the chat in the meantime.
No, Giuseppe, I think you anyway answer with your
answered all.
comments. Yeah, I saw the great question from Cecilia. She's a former participant of SDFA, so she might have also sort of biased experience at SDFA. So thank you much for your nice comment. Yes, indeed. I mean, the question is regarding future activities. Is the Academy working on Artificial Intelligence Act practical implementation issues? Considering provision application to financial institutions? Yes, indeed. I mean, we are constantly updating our activities, and to the colleagues that maybe would like to learn a bit more about what SDFA is doing, I suggest you to see to check the website that we have, that is publicly available. Is EU-SDFA.com. I can put it in the chat after. But yes, we are working on it. I don't know, Giuseppe, if you would like to also briefly address this question.
Yes, no, and thank you very much, Cecilia, for this question. There is one aspect on which I think we will have to maybe make up our mind and quite quickly in the coming months, which is understanding how the concrete implementation of the AI Act will interplay with other pieces of legislation that specifically relate to the financial sector, and how AI supervision in the financial sector will have to be approached and coordinated with the implementation of the AI Act, which bring on the ground other type of new authorities that have to be established, and that at the same time there will be also a coordinating role at EU level. So this is an area where I think there will be a need to focus indeed on practical cases to avoid risks of overlaps or underlaps when it comes to the implementation of the AI Act. And on this, I'm very happy to say that this is a project that we run together with the ESAs, the supervisory agencies in the EU, that have been, again, front runners in trying to understand what would have been at large the impact of the AI Act for the financial industry in the EU. And so we are working together to make sure that this can be as practical as possible, and that we help supervisory authorities understanding where the key risks are and how to manage them.
Thank you, Giuseppe. Very clear. So in the meantime, I copy and paste the EU-SDFA website link in the chat for anyone curious to explore around what we are doing. Sadly and unfortunately, the SDFA project is, let's say, reserved to national beneficiary authorities in the European Union. But again, it gives a bit of glance of the work that we are doing within SDFA. So going back to Iman and Marin, because you are both, let's say, practitioners, right? You both work for two national supervisory authorities coming from two different countries, so the Netherlands and Latvia. So also you reflect different maturity in terms of financial market. So I would like to understand from both of you, which are the main barriers? Oh, sorry, my computer is getting a bit crazy. So which are the main barriers to collaborate on Suptech? And I'm thinking about, potentially platform issues or data sharing issue. So maybe I would like to ask the same question to both of you to see the different perspective. Iman, the floor to you.
Thank you. Yes, well, sort of starting on Suptech, for me, that means empirical stuff, right? So it means getting your hands dirty and looking at data. Now, for data, we have had these discussions for years on data governance, on who has the legal rights to particular data. Can we share it? Can we publish it? What can we publish? All these things. So there's a whole framework to look at that. And even though it might sometimes be difficult to share because of the regulations, we have already established how it should be done in theory. Now, in practice, this might be still difficult because, I don't know, the data owner doesn't know that the data can actually be published, or these kinds of sort of hiccups. But on the whole, we know how to do it, yet it's a little bit difficult. So what is becoming much more easy these days is that with operating in the cloud, you can more easily share the code, which is in many cases so much less sensitive than the data, uh, and have places where you can work together. So um, and that is really this holy grail of collaboration that we're after, right? Not just sharing the PowerPoint with the results. I mean, the results are always wonderful, of course, because we're all very good at what we do. So no mistakes ever anywhere. But we all know that if you actually do this kind of work, there are choices that you make, and there might even be mistakes because and in the end, it's human labor and human thinking. But if you're open about it and you show sort of the steps that you take, then you can build trust. I mean that the choices that you make are valid given the circumstances. So I would say that if you sort of put a gun to my head, what do we need to fix most? Then I think the most bang for the buck would be in fixing a further platform to work on stuff. And here I would like to mention the virtual lab of the ECB, which is a very nice environment where you actually have this. You have a single sign-on, so you know who's accessing the data, whether they have a right to access that data, and the environment is safe for confidential data, and it allows for working together across the ESCB system. Now, I think I heard the rumor that other, say, NCAs that are not part of the ESCB could also apply to this fantastic platform. So I hope everybody does.
Thank you, man. We can also mention that last year in the hackathon that we ran within SDFA, we also tried to leverage this great tool, which is the virtual lab, and we hope to engage further with the colleagues from SSM to try to spread also the use of this platform. So, Marine, coming from your experience, do you agree with the man? Do you have anything else to add? If you have a gun on your head, as Iman was mentioning, what would need to be fixed to actually shape collaboration in the domain of Suptech?
I think we need to communicate in much more briefly a form and make it maybe more regularly, and maybe even like once per quarter or a couple times a year, just to sit and review the agenda. It's like in general, but in reality, I think it's very important to review just already made solutions that are integrated within specific NCA and look into the architect how a specific use case is solved. So it doesn't matter in which code, because we could have absolute structure in order to adopt this kind of solution, but we can took the idea or architect from one another, like how to match improvement plan with the audit trail, how to match audit trail with the communication and letters, how to match stress.
Marine, I think we have lost you. So maybe my suggestion would be to switch off your camera and see if the connection is better. I think. Okay.
I think we need to communicate better. Right?
Yep, indeed. And my question, I had a follow-up question on who needs to communicate on Subtech, but this we can go back maybe to Marine when her connection gets better. So Marine, again, my suggestion maybe would be to switch off your video so that maybe the audio connection will get better. But we will jump to you once you are back live. So let's go back. Yes, Iman, please.
Well, I think, I mean, not to mansplain her, but I mean, in her absence, I think she was making a really great point, right? It is about communicating, finding a good way to communicate in an open way where you both have the strength of your approach and your supervisory tools, but also sort of the weaknesses and things where still you need to tweak a little bit more and work a little bit more, because if we don't communicate openly, then we're never going to learn from each other. So at least, I mean, this would be my point. I hope she would agree with me when she comes back.
Concretely, Iman, how do you think this communication could be shaped? I mean, which kind of, let's say, institutional framework you foresee could facilitate this communication?
Well, there I think the SDFA is doing wonderful work because openly communicating can only happen in a trusted environment, right? Something where you feel safe to indeed tell other people that not everything is wonderful, right? That some things are difficult and that you struggle with something, because once you have that kind of rapport with each other, then you can push it further. And I think, coming to Florence or any other place and getting to know each other over lunch is a very good step.
Fantastic. Marine, please let us know if you're back live so that we can also give the floor back to you. In the meantime, I will proceed, Giuseppe, to ask you to jump in again, and maybe to go a bit deeper also in details on what the Commission is actually doing in concrete. So, what are the prominent areas in which the Commission support is starting to bring concrete impact on the ground, helping NCAs defining or implementing Suptech solution, but also what is missing?
Thank you so much, Nicola. I would give you one concrete example on which I think it's nice to start seeing some concrete results. There is an area we've been working quite a lot that relates to ESG risk management, and this is an area that has become prominent for supervisory authorities because there are a lot of problems. It's first of all a new area for supervisors to dig deep, but also is an area that is quite resource intense and where a lot of data, a lot of information have to be processed, have to be matched, often from different sources and so on. So we are now working with our partners and with several member states in a very large project that aims at basically tackling greenwashing. And our idea is that is starting to bring some concrete results is to leverage large language models in order to support the analysis effort from the side of the authorities and help them extrapolate relevant information that then can feed indicators, can feed dashboards that can be used in order to monitor, for example, the extent to which funds are aligned with their sustainability claims. And which is, as you can understand, a first step in the direction of assessing whether or not there are risks of greenwashing out there in the market. And this is I think, a concrete example of how our work, of course, together with our partners is supporting member states in solving concrete issues that are across the board, because the market for funds it has also ramification in the insurance sector. It has ramifications in the banking sector, of course, and so it is something that is getting more and more relevant, and we try to solve together with our partners and the member states concrete problems of actual implementation of the rules put forward through the Sustainable Finance Agenda of the Commission via leveraging of the existing technologies. What I would like what I think we still miss and we will need to work more is maybe to bring not only a culture of to strengthen the culture of risk management for supervisory authorities, but to bring back into the discussion the potential that new technologies have with respect to innovation. In the past, in Europe, there has been a large trend related to regulatory sandboxes, innovation hubs for the financial sector, and so on. From my very small angle, I have the perspective that this kind of trend somehow slowed down and there is a need probably to maybe bring it back to the stage, because Europe is clearly lagging behind when it comes to the actual use of AI. We know, for example, that we are late compared to our biggest competitors, US and China. And the financial sector can be in the lead in this regard, because by using technologies, it can, let's say, be a front runner and can bring innovation in other economic sectors. So I think that what we are missing at the moment is this kind of link between digitalization and innovation in the financial sector and competitiveness in the real economy, and how these two need to be connected in order to start covering this big gap that Europe clearly is facing at the moment.
Thank you, Giuseppe. So we have the last 3 minutes. I can't see if Marine has reconnect. Marine, can you hear us? Because we have the last 3 minutes, and I would love to give you the floor for some final remarks, if you can hear us. I don't think it's working. Okay, so as we have only the last 2 or 3 minutes, maybe I will give the floor maybe to Iman for some final words on how you see and what you're looking forward for the next month. Marin, you're back. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you, but most probably my security is quite hard.
Okay, so we are closing the session. I'm very happy that you're back, so that we can leave the floor to you for the last final remarks. Iman was also emphasizing that you were trying to deliver a key message, communication. So maybe in the last 2 minutes, can you give us, like in a nutshell, the key elements of what we are trying to say in your early intervention?
Well, I think that it is really important to collaborate in the different areas, and the Suptech agenda is one of the heaviest one, because we need to work more and build in order to be more than knowledgeable as in hard skills and soft skills too, especially when we're starting to work with the new types of the regulation. And I think that it's really visual streams that currently this cloud technology together, it will be the area of priority of, because when you have quality,
sorry, Marine, I think
the data,
the connection,
you can manage a lot of solutions, and this would be this next step going and be a chance that academies, NCAs, and it's a very good platform that we can collaborate and trying to maybe also to think how we can try to decrease any kind of specific barriers like that data confidentiality or procurement procedures or anything else. So in this sense, I see very similar problems. We have very similar challenges. We need to just go through them systematically and be updated. And actually, when you give the update from other NCAs, it also drives you to implement something and be successful with a new project implementation. So it's always about experimenting, and we need to be brave enough to get a new technology solution into our NCAs supervisory needs.
Thank you very much, Marina. I'm very happy that we managed to also to hear your voice. It's a pleasure as usual. So my key words from this conversation are working together and being brave. With these 2 keywords in mind, I'm happy to close this session. And thanks my panelists as well, as the organizer of the Suptech Week. It has been a fantastic week full of interesting sessions. To all our participants, if you like to be in touch with us, we're always happy to also talk more about SDFA and the work we are doing. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the week. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nicola.